Let's go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trackmania Podcast. This time I'm joined by the guy many consider as the best player in the world all over the environments, being successful at pretty much all environments in the game and pretty much all styles. So there's a lot to talk about with the man himself. I welcome one of the most famous guys in the scene, Riolu. How are you, man?
Yo, welcome. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for the nice words in the beginning. I'm doing good. A little bit tired from my long day, but yeah, cannot complain.
Yeah, I do this in every episode, so I will do it with you as well. Who are you and what do you do in the scene of Trackmania?
Yeah, the classic question. I'm Riolu, 22 years old, currently studying information communication science in Germany, so I'm German. And I play Trackmania for 10 years now. I've actually had my 10-year anniversary, or I think I'm gonna have it in a couple of days. So let's say I played Trackmania for almost 10 years. Been playing a lot of Nadeo maps back in the day, so that's where I kind of started. Until I eventually moved on to some competitive play later with Trackmania 2. And yeah, I started evolving after that in competitive play, started streaming, started doing YouTube videos. And now I'm here. And I'm actually pretty happy with my position right now.
And as I said in the intro, you pretty much play all the environments and all the styles. But
Yep.
can you tell us what's your first experience with Trackmania? What environment was it, and what do you remember from it?
Alright, so when I started with Trackmania, it was I don't know when exactly, like in 2005 or something. I was in a like supermarket sort of store, and they had like a pile of PC games in there, and I was shopping with my mom, like just buying some casual stuff, and then she was like, yo, little Riolu, come here, I have a game to show you. And it was Trackmania in that red box. I think some of you still remember that. It was Trackmania Original in that red shiny little box with that crazy track on it, and she was like, yo, wanna have it? That was actually pretty rare. Like, we weren't really the richest family, so I was actually really happy when my mom offered me to actually buy the game. So I had a look. I was like, yo, shit, that looks amazing. Like, loopings and, like, crazy stunts and stuff like that. So I went ahead and bought the game. And that was kind of my first experience with Trackmania. So I was like, what, 10 maybe? So yeah, I was a pretty young chap. But that was when I started with Trackmania, like my first real encounter with Trackmania Original, so desert, rally, and snow environment. I played it pretty casually. I built a lot of like super long Zerator style tracks, which I barely managed to finish myself, but I actually had a lot of fun with the game until I kinda moved on. Because I was young, always tried to do different games, you know, so I kinda moved on with Trackmania after a little bit. But I enjoyed my stay until I found Trackmania Nations Forever in 2008, shortly after it got released. Funnily enough, that was exactly when I bought my first sort of gaming laptop. So I was looking for free racing games, and of course I found Trackmania Nations Forever. That was like the first hit on Google pretty much. So I was like, yo, damn, I played that game before. So yeah, I gotta try that out. And I went ahead, downloaded Trackmania Nations, started off with my brilliant nickname. Don't laugh. My brilliant nickname, Accelerator_01. I don't want to talk about it, okay? But it was
Okay, we'll let that be.
so it was my old cringy nickname, where I started off with in Trackmania Nations Forever. So that was like in April 2008, late April, I would say. And so I first played some Stadium, of course, got into some online gameplay, actually got some records pretty quick because I always played racing games. So I didn't find it too difficult to get into the game, which was pretty comfortable. And like 1 month later, I was like, okay, I need to buy Trackmania United because it had like so many fancy environments and also the old ones. So I really want to, you know, get into the game. So at the end of May 2008, I bought Trackmania United, and yeah, that's where the addiction kind of started. And I'm still here playing the game, and it was probably the best decision of my life, honestly.
Yeah, and if you don't want to talk about the cringy name, as you said, can you tell us how did you end
Nah,
up
it's fine,
being
it's fine, it's
Riolu?
fine, it's fine. I can talk about it. So the
Yeah,
short
sure.
the short story was that I was into Hot Wheels back in the days, okay? Like those
Yeah,
tiny die-cast cars. I was actually collecting them, and they had like a series, like a movie series called Acceleracers. So I was like really into that. I was a big fan. So I named myself Accelerator, like super creative, yeah, I know. Accelerator. But it was already taken, you know, like on many
Oh.
websites, of course. So I took _01 because I always wanted to be the number one, you know. So that's how Accelerator _01 happened, and I took that nickname until 2010 or 2011, and that's where your question comes in, how Riolu came. So that was in 2011 or 10, as I said. I don't recall myself exactly. But it was a little fun tournament in Trackmania United Forever. I was playing with a couple of friends. We were actually in a team called Bananenbande, which is German for banana crew, sort of. We were actually quite good back in the days. But we had like some other people also join us. So we just went ahead with a fun team joining for that tournament. And we called ourselves Pokemon Rangers. And with the twist that everybody changes his actual nickname to a Pokemon, so everybody went with, like, I don't know, Charizard and stuff like that. And since I had no idea about Pokemon whatsoever, someone suggested Riolu. And ever since, I kinda just went with it, because I didn't really like that fucking edgy Accelerator nickname anyway. So I was like, okay, let's just start all over again with Riolu, and I actually like it.
Yeah. And you said this changed in around 2012 when Trackmania sort of peaked. Do you think that might be a reason why Trackmania has been going downwards in 2011? That you changed your nickname?
Maybe, I don't know. Probably people were like so disappointed. Oh my god, where's Accelerator? I'm leaving. Bye. No, I have no idea. Nah, I don't think so. I think my nickname change had pretty much no impact back in the days, because nobody really knew me back in the days. I was just playing Nadeo maps. I was actually like rank 6 or 7 in the world in Trackmania United. Back in the days when I was still Accelerator, so only a fraction of people knew me, so I think it didn't really matter whatsoever.
I remember in a written interview I did with you back in 2016, you said that the diversity of the game is what makes the game special to you, and you already talked about your interest in all the environments. If you first can say, what does the multiple environments, why does it give you more motivation?
The thing is, I kinda always enjoyed to have variety. I didn't want to play like only one environment, you know? I started playing Nations Forever, as I said. It only had Stadium, and at some point, I wouldn't say I was bored, but I wanted to try something else. And I always have that mentality to always try everything a game offers to me. So I bought United. And since United has 7 environments, I obviously didn't want to just focus on one environment, but play all of them, you know? So to you know, just get into the game and get to know everything about the game. And since I was always the kind of perfectionist, I was like, okay, I want to be good at everything, even though I didn't really have the chance back in the days to become good at every environment, because I was playing with keyboard. And as you guys might know, being a keyboard player in United is pretty much RIP for some environments, because you simply have no chance to pull off certain techniques or drive like the fastest possible lines. So I tried to become as good as possible, but at some point I was just limited by being a keyboard player. But yeah, I was still like, you know, trying to enjoy everything about the game, and I think Trackmania has so much to offer. It's kinda a waste if you only focus on one environment, and that's what I wanted to prevent.
Yeah. And if I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think it's a secret, I mostly follow the text in the game, and I feel like most other people also do it, like casual. But for you, can you tell us what do you feel that we miss out on following the other games and trying to discover the other environments in Trackmania?
That one is quite hard to answer, because Stadium offers a lot already. Like, Stadium is probably the most versatile environment there is. That's why most people play it. But every other environment offers like a very specific technique or a very specific thing you need to watch out for. And that's probably what you're missing out on if you only focus on, let's say, Stadium Tech or something.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to discover, and it will also help you to understand certain things better. Also, in regards to other racing games, maybe. Like in Stadium, there's, I don't know, like, it's hard to explain. But in Stadium, there's certain techniques which don't really come into play, or they're not really as effective as they are in other environments. So let's take an example of smooth steering, which is not really too important in Stadium, especially not in Stadium Tech. In Stadium Tech, you always do like full steering all the time, you know?
Yeah.
But smooth steering is super important in other environments, like, I don't know, rally, island, stuff like that. Like, you really need that smooth steering. So you have very specific ways of playing the game which you kind of miss out on in Stadium. So yeah, that's kind of one big example, which applies pretty good on your question.
Yeah, and I think most people in Trackmania is agreeing that we lack of attention. And do you think that if we are gonna have attention brought into the game, should we focus on only one style, or should we show people the multiple styles we have?
It is definitely important to show all of the styles. Even if we just focus ourselves on Stadium, let's just take that an example.
Yeah.
If we just focus on Stadium, just focusing on tech does not show all of the facets of the game, you know? It only shows one specific style. And we've seen in the past that having multiple styles being covered in one map can be a very successful thing. For example, Spam's Weekly, Frostbeel's Weekly Race, those were not only covering tech, but all of the styles. And I think that is something which is very important also if you want to reach out to people who maybe don't know Trackmania. So you immediately see, as a new guy, what the game has to offer. It's not only, you know, sliding around tight corners, but also having dirt sections, or having full speed with loopings and walls, or, I don't know, a little bit of RPG with those balancing acts and stuff like that. So I think if you want to reach out to new people, it is actually coming into play if that you show all of the styles and not just one. That is my personal opinion, because I really want to put emphasis on the fact that Trackmania not only has one style, which is, you know, tech for the most part, but also other styles. Because, as I said, it's kind of a waste if you only focus on one thing. Since the game has so much to offer, you really need to put emphasis on more styles.
Yeah. And in 2015, you showed actually how dominant you can be in the multiple styles. You won both Valley and Canyon at the Gamers Assembly.
Yep.
This is something nobody has done before you, and I think nobody has done after you. How did it feel, and how was it possible to win 2 separate events at one event almost?
Yeah, that is indeed pretty cool. I'm actually still the only one who managed to win 2 tournaments at one LAN, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really proud of that, to be honest. And yeah, I've been always playing Canyon and Valley on a pretty high level, and I really wanted to win. It was my first LAN, and I really wanted to win. I wanted to prove that I can also perform, you know, online. I mean offline, not online. On an actual LAN event. So that was really important for me. So I put a lot of, you know, effort into practicing, into being consistent and stuff like that. And at the end, it really paid off. Even though I had some really difficult opponents to race against, being Marius89, Laurens, Quentin, who are actually still playing, except for Laurens. But Marius89 is still playing. Quentin43, French keyboard player in Canyon, he's also still playing. So I had a lot of good opponents back in the days. And that really gave me confidence to actually win my first LAN attendance. And also with that manner, you know, like winning 2 tournaments at the same time. That really gave me like a huge confidence boost.
Is there any reason why you didn't attend at the Gamers Assembly this year? Because it's safe to say that you could have been a main favorite in Canyon, and you could also be one of the main favorites going into the Dirt tournament as well.
One of the main reasons is, at least for Canyon, that I don't really enjoy playing it too much after Mania Planet 4. Because Mania Planet 4, for those who maybe don't know about it, it brought a lot of, in my eyes, negative changes to the Canyon handling. So it kinda, I don't know, my interest in competitive Canyon play kinda diminished to almost 0 after the changes have been applied. Simply because it doesn't really feel the way I used to play Canyon back in the days in Mania Planet 3, Mania Planet 2, Mania Planet 1. So that kinda not scared me away from Canyon, but it simply brought me to a point where I simply didn't want to play competitively, at least not on a LAN anymore. So it wasn't really the effort. And another big reason is that the prize money simply wasn't high enough to actually be you know, beneficial for me. I would have to pay more for the trip than I could possibly win at the LAN event. So that was also something I kind of kept in mind. It's simply not worth, you know?
Yeah.
And for the dirt event, I don't know. I kind of pussied out, probably. I kind of pussied out. I don't know. I could have done okay on the dirt event, I guess. I definitely couldn't have won. But I could have done okay at the dirt event, I guess. But yeah, I kind of pussied out. To be quite honest with you.
Is there any sort of future offline events planned for you? Like, this event I'm gonna attend to, and this event I'm gonna show up and show who is the best at the different environments?
Actually, I haven't thought about that because there aren't really a lot of LAN tournaments right now, and most of them are just focusing on tech. And you guys don't know, I'm like ass at tech. I'm really not competing with the top players on tech. So yeah, I'm still, you know, if there's like a nice opportunity for me, I might consider it. But like right now, I don't know yet. I really can't answer that one.
Let's move to another topic. In 2016, Nadeo and Ubisoft released the latest version of the game in TrackMania Turbo, sorry.
Yeah.
A game that gave TrackMania and yourself a lot of attention for at least the release period. I remember in the written interview I did with you, you called it both a blessing and a failure. Now that you had sort of 2 years to look back on TrackMania Turbo and the release of it, how would you call this game? Is it a success? Is it a failure? Is it a blessing? What feeling are you left with?
I'm still of the opinion that it was a blessing for me, first of all, because when TrackMania Turbo got released, I streamed a lot of TrackMania Turbo, and that really gave, for me, like a really big boost in my, how do you call it? Like in my presence in the TrackMania community. So I'm really thankful about that. It really boosted my stream, for example. Thanks to Turbo, I actually got partnered because I really like peaked with my viewers to like, what, 700 viewers each stream, because TrackMania Turbo was like really hyped up back in the days, since it was not only on PC but also on consoles. So it really reached out to a lot of people, and I really took benefit from that, which is awesome. So in that regard, Turbo was definitely a blessing for me personally. For the TrackMania community in general, like for the core community, it didn't really have too much of an impact because it was mainly tailored towards the console players. So the core TrackMania community was never really into Turbo, which is kind of understandable, of course, because Turbo was never really having all of these customization options. It wasn't competitive at all, so people weren't really interested in Turbo too much. But for the casual players, especially on consoles, I think it was a pretty good thing to have. The goal of Nadeo, as far as I know, was that Turbo was meant to bring people from consoles to PC, to Mania Planet. I don't know how much or in how far they succeeded with that. I don't know how many console players actually switched to Mania Planet after that. But I would still say it brought attention to the game franchise a couple of months even after the release. And I think it still does. Especially now that Turbo was also for free in PS4, like with the PlayStation Plus subscription thingy, and with Xbox Gold, whatever. Like when you pay for that service, you get Turbo for free. That actually boosted Turbo once again, and it shows that the game is fun. It is fun for casual players, and it's simply just not appealing for the core community. So I would still say it's a fine game if you're new to TrackMania. But if you're, let's say, a veteran, if you're someone like me or you or whatever, then it's maybe not the best game, because it's simply not tailored towards us, but towards people who don't know the game at all, who just want to play a little bit of casual on consoles with multiplayer, with a local split screen, stuff like that. In that regard, the game is good. But yeah,
as you said, I think the idea for Hylis and Alinoa was to show the console players the game and bring them over to the PC. But let's talk about you. You had a lot of viewers during the release period. Is there some viewers in your chat, like you can say, okay, this guy joined during TrackMania Turbo when that was released, and is still in my stream today and is still around?
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of people actually who joined my stream back in the days when I, played Turbo regularly.
Yeah.
And they're still here. And there's even people who subscribed back in the days and they're still subscribed. So I think Turbo, as I said, it was a blessing, and it really brought a lot of people who actually sticked with me. So they enjoyed Turbo, they enjoyed my stream, they enjoy my content, and they're still here. And that's actually really, really awesome to think about. So they weren't only interested in the game, but they actually developed interest for, Trackmania in general, for me as a person, for what I do, and that's really, really cool to think about.
And we can't bring up TrackMania Turbo without bringing up the Super Trackmasters. You become the first ever to collect the 200 medals.
Yep.
Something Spam has done after you. But can you tell us how the process went and how did actually the process start in the first place? Because 200 Super Trackmasters. I remember Frostfuel, the legend himself, telling nobody's gonna do it, nobody's gonna accomplish that. What did you think about it in the first place when you saw that? Okay, there are 200 Super Trackmasters out there. Am I going for it or just going for some tracks?
Okay, so I gotta be honest with you. In the beginning, I actually said no one will ever beat all of the 200.
Okay.
I remember I said that because I was pretty confident that sometimes me and other people set for the STM times were actually like either unbeatable or really hard to beat for one specific person. And now we have 3 people who got them all. So I was kind of wrong with that. But it still took a long time, and it is a long process, and you really need to be like super dedicated. You need to have a mindset of Mike Tyson to like get all of them. So it's a really nice challenge, and I'm really happy that people actually took the challenge serious and went for it and were successful at the end. So I'm really happy about that. So shoutouts to Spam and Asier, who got all of the 200 STM times. But yeah, my own process, you were asking for that. Since I was of the opinion I personally would not get them all, I took it very slowly in the beginning. So I only played casually, got some STMs here and there. I didn't even stream all of them because, fuck that, So I got a couple of STMs off stream because I was just playing casually. Got some by accident where I didn't thought I would get them, and then I just got them. I was like, yo, oops, okay. Got the STM, cool. But later, when I was actually getting closer to the 200 and people showed very high interest in actually seeing all of the 200 being done, I took it serious. And then I went for it. And then I played multiple hours a day. I hunted the shit out of the tracks to get them all. So I would say in the beginning, it was low interest. Then I actually had like weeks of break where I didn't even play the game. And as soon as I got closer, my motivation boosted to the top, And then I just kept going until I got them all. So at the end, Turbo got released in, I think, end of March 2016, and I got them at the end of September 2016. So how many months is that?
6.
6 months. So half a year to get them all. Considering the break in between, could have gotten them earlier, but it doesn't really matter. So I was really happy that I got them all, because it was something I didn't expect to do. But I think with the viewer confidence I got, like from my fans, they were like, yo, Riolu, you have to go for it. You can do it, And then I just did it. So it was like a lot of help from my community who pushed my motivation. But yeah, it was really awesome to actually have them all at the end, being the first one. It is an honor, definitely.
And looking back at such a long process, there are going to be some ups and downs. What sort of maps are the ones that sticks out for you as the sort of, this track I'm never going to play again, this map I'm never going to see again?
Dude, there's a couple of tracks.
There's a couple, actually.
Yes, there's a couple of tracks, mainly in the Black series, because the tracks were pretty fucking bad, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, not bad quality-wise, but bad if you time attack them. Because, I don't know, let's take, for example, 180, which is a valley track, almost 2 minutes long, and it has multiple of these super long quarter pipe jumps where it can bug to the moon or other, like, super difficult spots. So there were a couple of tracks where I was like, oh my god, like, I'm gonna need 100 hours to beat it, because it's just such a difficult track to get. So there's definitely a couple of tracks which really, like, stick to my mind until today, where I'm like, oh my god, I never want to see that shit again. Like, I really don't want to play that again, because it was a pain. It was a pain, but it was worth it in the end to go through the pain. And it was a lot of fun though to actually see other people go for these specific tracks. You know, it put a smile on my face to see Spam getting super salty at some tracks. It actually made my day. You know, it's really cool to see. But yeah, at the end, it's worth all the salt, definitely.
I asked you if you think you could accomplish it. You said no in the first place, but then after a while you realized that you could do it. But after you finished collecting your 200 medals, did you think that anybody else could actually accomplish that?
I wasn't sure who, but I was sure that there is gonna be somewhere out there in this planet who's gonna go for it.
Yeah.
There was, as you said, there was Frostbill who went for them, and he definitely had the mindset to get them all. I knew if he kept going, he would get them all. Because he was very determined. He was, like, super focused on what he's doing. So, he was probably the first one, I would think, that he would get them all. Unfortunately, he quit. But there was someone else who stepped into it, and it was Spam. Spam, who originally was only playing Stadium, I was like, yo, that's gonna be tough, man. That's gonna be tough. But he actually really surprised me to learn all of the 3 other environments, Canyon, Valley, and Lagoon. And he did it. So that is super awesome to see. So he proved that it is possible if you have the mindset, even if you're not experienced with any other environments. If you have the mindset, if you have the time, if you have the salt mine for that, you can get that. And same applies to Asier, who got all of the 200 SCMs a couple months ago. The Spanish player who actually retired from Trackmania after getting all of the 200s. Yeah, he got them all. So yeah, it's all about the mindset.
And before we close the topic of TrackMania Turbo, sorry, do you actually still play the tracks, or have you closed the topic of TrackMania Turbo?
I did stop with TrackMania Turbo pretty much, but recently I actually fired up the game on my stream again because people wanted to see me getting one specific world record, which I did get at the end, and it's actually on YouTube because I was like singing along to it. So, yeah, I did play Turbo recently, but altogether I would say I retired from Turbo because there's just not much to do in the game. I still love to watch people play the game and give some tips about how to get STMs and stuff like that. But personally, as a player, there's no motivation for me. I completed Super Solo. I was actually the only one who completed the Double Driver campaign. So yeah, I'm done with the game. There's nothing for me to do. I could go for world records, of course, but nah.
A highlight and a moment that was nominated for a moment of the year in 2017 was the ESA with you and Spam. Can you take us behind the scenes there? How was the experience going there, and how did you actually end up there?
Wow, ESA was actually like one of the most awesome things I've done thanks to Trackmania.
Yeah.
So it all started off with Spam actually trying to apply for either how's it called? Games Done Quick or ESA. So Games Done Quick refused to take Trackmania like 2 or 3 times in a row. So Spam went ahead for ESA, which was a slightly smaller event in Sweden. And they actually, they accepted Trackmania, which was really awesome in first place. And then people requested, yo, Spam, don't go alone, take Riolu with you, just for the memes. So we actually did some crowdfunding on Spam stream and on my stream to collect some money to actually pay our trips, because it was quite expensive to, pay hotel, travel, accommodation, stuff like that. So we did some crowdfunding, and it was actually fucking amazing, not gonna lie. We put up a donation goal on the stream, and I think we got it in the very first day.
Oh, what?
So that just shows how fucking awesome our community is, and how desperate they actually wanted to see us two at that event. So they really wanted to see it happen, and they did make it happen. So once again, shout outs to all of the people who made it happen, because that is definitely an experience which I will always keep in my heart. It was like super awesome from day one to to the last day. Really happy about that. So yeah, we did the crowdfunding, booked the hotel, booked the flight. I was actually traveling with my ex-girlfriend back in the days, and so we did some sort of vacation after the actual event. So some extra little bonus to that. But yeah, we did everything, and then we traveled to Sweden, met up there, did some practice for the run, for the commentary, and then yeah, we went to the event at that day. I've personally never been at a speedrunning event. I believe Spam wasn't there either, so it was quite a new experience for us both, but a really awesome one, because we met a lot of cool people out there who were either in charge of the ESA or who were actually speedrunning there. I remember meeting Alex, or Qlex, who is a Nadeo employee actually, and he was there to do a Tetris speedrun, or be part of a Tetris speedrun. So one of the things I will never forget is seeing a Tetris god play Tetris in real life. Like, you gotta imagine, he was sitting there in front of his 4:3 mini monitor, you know, with that old console buckled up, and he was like, like all of the super quick like Tetris blocks falling down, you know, and he was moving the stick like clack 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 clack. I was like, holy shit, how do you do that? You know, but I don't know. I mean, some of you probably know all of these crazy Tetris speedruns. Yeah. I was like, holy fucking shit, dude! How do you do that? And then he was explaining everything casually while he did that run, like while he did all of these flicky with the joystick and pressing the buttons like a madman. It was incredible. Like, shoutouts to Alex if you're watching. That was insane. That was fucking lit, man. So yeah, that was one thing about the event, and then of course the actual speedrun. I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I was looking forward to how it would go. So we were there, being crowded with actually a lot of people. So we took the seat, sat down, and then the instructors from behind the scenes were like, okay, you need to do this and that, talking to the mic in a very specific angle and stuff like that, you know. So we did all that, and then we just kept going. You know, we started with the speedrun, and it felt like 5 minutes it was over already. Like, it was so cool. Like, I don't know, it was so, like, we were in a flow, and I don't know, everything just worked out together. We had the Twitch chat also with all of the memes in there, so it was, I don't know, we didn't feel any pressure at all. At least I didn't. So I was just having a look at the chat. I did my commentary, you know, I talked about shits and giggles, you know. It wasn't really too exciting for me. So it was like at home, you know, like streaming at home. I don't know, it felt so comfortable, and that's why time passed by so fast. So at the end, I don't know, like after 5 minutes it felt like it was over already. So it was a really awesome experience. I think we both did pretty well. People enjoyed it. That's the main thing. We received so many donations actually for the good cause during our run, including by Frostbule. So also shoutouts to you if you're listening. He also did a very generous donation during the run, which is really awesome. So people showed the support even during the run, even before the run. That was really, really awesome. So definitely an experience I will never forget, which is always gonna stay in my heart. And if I get the chance, I would do it again. I would do it again. If I commentate or actually run myself, I don't mind. But yeah, if there is an opportunity in the future, hey, why not?
So there's nothing planned. There's not like, okay, we're going back in 2018 or 2019.
This sort of this year, no. This year, no. But let's see in the future. Maybe next year.
We briefly already touched the topics of your stream and what it does for you. But for people who never actually turn into a stream of yours, I don't think it's likely that they're listening to this podcast if they've not seen your stream. But can you give them sort of an idea of what kind of streamer you are and what kind of content you bring to your stream?
So yeah, as you might have guessed, I do stream all of the environments. So my main focus is to bring a big variety, a big amount of, you know, different things what Trackmania has to offer. So I don't only play Stadium, but I also play other environments. So I always participate in, I don't know, cups, in like everything related to all of the environments. So I even play some Trackmania United when there's the TMX Knockout, which is a TTC-like tournament every Friday. So I even play that now. just to show the people that there isn't only Stadium out there, but there's also, oh, nice Windows era. There's also other things to check out in Trackmania. So that is one of my main things to focus during my stream. So I do want to offer a lot of different things. And I would say I'm one of the guys who maybe don't scream a lot, but I do like to interact with the people a lot. Yeah. So that is also something I really want to emphasize on. I want to talk to the people. The people watch my stream because they enjoy the gameplay, or they enjoy talking to me, or just, you know, being communicating with me, or they enjoy my voice. Like, people actually say that, which is something I don't really understand, but people say, oh, they like my voice and stuff like that. So yeah, there's plenty of reasons why people watch me, and people always are very generous as well, which is really awesome. So they show a lot of support for what I do almost every day. I've made streaming kind of my part-time job already. I can't, you know, live on my own because of that, but I can pay a couple bills here and there, which is really good. So I've made it a somewhat regular thing every evening to enjoy for other people, and people kind of got used to it. I always hear, hey, Riolu, thanks for your streams. Thanks that you're here like every evening entertaining me. And that is actually really awesome. You know, that I am part of other people's, you know, life or other people's day. Yeah. That is actually really awesome to think about. And I'm really thankful for that. So yeah, streaming became also a big part of my life, since I dedicate a lot of time, or a lot of my spare time, to stream for the people, since I'm also studying, you know, next to that. So I'm trying to, you know, put my studies aside sometimes and stream, because it's something I really fucking enjoy. I love streaming. It's so awesome, you know? So awesome to just play the game I like, talk to the people, have some fun, listen to memes. You know, it's awesome. So yeah, absolutely thankful for how the stream developed over the time, ever since Turbo started until today. Really awesome. Really, really awesome.
Can you tell us what was the motivation for starting the stream? Was there sort of like a streamer in Trackmania that motivated you, like, okay, I want to do the same? Or was there someone outside of the Trackmania community like, okay, I can bring this over to Trackmania?
I wouldn't say there was a specific person who inspired me on starting to stream in general. I just started because people were just generally curious on seeing my gameplay. So I started streaming Race of Champions in Trackmania United Forever when I was still going for Ladder 1 in the online ranking. So I did stream that because people were like, yo, Riolu, I really want to see you play. So why just not start streaming? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start streaming. Back in the days, I just did it like, I don't know, once a week or something, basically when Race of Champions was happening. So it wasn't really anything I did regularly. But when I noticed people came in, people enjoyed it, I, you know, started getting into it, did it more regularly, and then Turbo just made it explode.
Is there any upcoming highlights that we should tune into and should follow and watch?
Whew, that's a hard one. Not sure if I could answer that, actually. I mean, there's a lot of things which I think could be worth watching.
Yeah.
But I couldn't decide on what exactly. There's like so many things which happened in the past which are kinda awesome and which kinda got lost over the time as well. So yeah, I actually don't know. That's a question I'm kinda, you know, mind blown.
If I could add, there is one event I want to specifically talk about. It's the potentially a new event of the year in the Planet Dirt Cup, an event where we saw the best tech players, or the best dirt players, sorry, in Trackmania battle it out for the title. You ended up actually placing second behind the guy many consider as the sort of god of dirt in Papua. Getting second at such an event must feel good, but can you tell us, what were your goals before this event? Were you actually thinking, okay, I'm going to actually win it, or what were your goals before the event took place in the first place?
Yeah, the Planet Dirt Cup was actually quite a cool thing, because it was a long time since I played a dirt tournament before that. I was always, when I played Stadium competitively, It was mostly dirt, because dirt, I would say, is my best styling stadium. So I always enjoyed playing dirt, also back in the days when I only played Nadeo maps as Accelerator_01, haha. So yeah, I always enjoyed dirt, and I was pretty good at that. So I played, some competitions here and there. Also joined some dirt teams as a guest player to play some team competitions back in the days. But it's been a while since I played a really serious dirt tournament. So the Planet Dirt Cup was like the perfect opportunity for me to prove myself and other people that I can still perform in dirt and in Trackmania in general. So I took it pretty seriously. Of course, knowing that I can't win, because as you said, there was Papu, who is considered the best dirt player out there right now. So I knew from the very beginning, hey, I'm not gonna win. So a goal I set myself was to get into the finals. It was something I knew I could do if I spent a lot of time in practicing, which I did. But it was still something, it could either happen or I could completely fail at that. Because it wasn't only Papu playing, but you also had plenty of other people. Fire, Weedy, I don't know, other people. There's so many people I could mention right now who could wreck the fuck out of me in dirt. So I really took my practice seriously, played a lot, and it paid off. So I was really focused in my matches. I didn't really have a match where I really did badly. Of course, I had some bad rounds, but my ability to drive safely and fast at the same time paid off. So I did manage to get second, as you said, which is definitely out of my expectations. It basically feels like winning almost, because I knew beating Papu wasn't possible. He was completely destroying every single one of us during the entire tournament. So he obviously deserved the win. But yeah, I did really good in my matches, and placing second was really, really awesome. So the practice paid off. The support from the viewers paid off, because I was always like streaming my matches, streaming my practice, stuff like that. So it really paid off, and I'm really happy that I could prove myself that I could still do good in dirt, especially in that manner. Being second is like super awesome. Even took home some prize money, which is also like really cool. So yeah, it was a success from the start to the very end. And yeah, definitely looking forward to more dirt tournaments. Even though the competition is hard, dirt is not easy. And I would say I maybe got a little bit lucky sometimes, because some people also dropped out in the tournament. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, really happy, and yeah, looking forward to the next tournaments, definitely.
Yeah, and taking place second in such a prestigious dirt event where the best dirt players are attending. Are you actually sort of seeing yourself as the second best in dirt, or where do you place yourself among the top dirt players?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't say I'm the second best. Definitely not, because I know that there's other people who can beat me. Other people who maybe didn't put as much effort as I did during the PDC. So yeah, it's definitely not top 2 for me. I would say I'm in the top 10 to 15 of dirt players right now. Even though it's really difficult to judge myself.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. But yeah, I would say I'm, in the top tier group of dirt players. But definitely not top 2. Like, there's no way. Not right now, at least. If I know life more, maybe in the future. But right now, definitely not podium for me as the best dirt player.
Yeah, let's see in the next dirt event. I think you might be actually better than you think yourself are. But before we go, I must sort of ask you something. It's something that everybody brings up in your stream chat. Pretty much every day there is one event in Trackmania. There is no secret. There is a lot of hype behind that event, the Zerator Cup 2018. You played it back in 2016. You made it to the playoffs. Many remember that and sort of remind you every year that will you attend this year again? But can you give us once and for all, will you play the Zerator Cup 2018? And if not, can you tell us why?
The answer is no. I will not play the Zerator Cup this year. As you said, I did participate in 2016, which was the 4th edition of the Zerator Cup. I mainly played because I wanted to make the experience of actually participating in that tournament. I did watch the previous Zerator Cups. It was actually pretty fun to watch because it was a different kind of tournament with very special maps. So I was like, okay, one time I want to try. And I did get into the semi-final, which was also beyond my expectations back in the days. So I was really happy about that. But I don't know, there were certain things which happened during the cup, or rather at the LAN event itself, which kinda made me not enjoy the cup in the future. I did mention it several times in my stream, but for the people who maybe don't know about it, during the event at the actual stage in Paris, there were people who were pretty disrespectful towards people who were not French. So I actually had people who were literally booing at me because I was simply not French, or because I wasn't, you know, like top favorite, or people simply didn't know me. So that was something I was like, yo, that is not cool. And I don't want to support that. If people, or if the community of Zerator are treating, you know, contenders like that, it's not really professional, it's pretty unfair. So that was like one of the reasons which made me not enjoy the cup anymore. It's not really, you know, the maps, of course they're weird, but they are actually kind of in favor of my playstyle, exactly. You know? Because it's not entirely tech, it's not entirely full speed, which are the styles I'm pretty bad at compared to the top players. So it's a style I can do good at. I think I did prove that in the 4th edition in 2016, because I did get to the semi-final. So I think I did kinda good on those maps. So it's not really the maps which I don't really enjoy. I mean, they're not the best maps, but it's not the main criteria why I don't play the cup. It's rather the community being, you know, not really professional in a way. Yep. Especially the way they treated me. Of course, it doesn't apply to all of the people, as not all of the, you know, Zerator followers, but those couple people really made me think like, whoa, nah, not like this, dude, not like this. So it was kind of a slap in the face to me. And when it happened in 2017 again to Javi Flyer, who also got disrespected by a couple of people because he won, and not Carl Jr. or not any other Frenchman, or, you know, French-speaking person, that was like the nail in the coffin. That was like, yo, nah, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. Of course, it's not Zerator's his own fault, you know? He's actually a good guy. I met him in 2016. I talked to him. He's a really cool guy, not gonna lie. But the way the community treats people sometimes is really no-go. Like, you can't do that, you know? So that was kind of the main reason why I refuse to play right now. It might change in the future, but right now I'm just like scared away. Also, like, sometimes people come into my stream pretending they know everything about the game. They're like, yo, I don't know, Carl Jr. is the one and only, even though they don't know shit about the community. They, I don't know, they're pretty narrow-minded, which is something I don't really blame for, of course, but it's not really something which appeals to me as a, you know, Trackmania veteran, to see people coming just for Zerator and not for the game. That is also something people, you know, argue with. They come up with like, okay, yo, Riolu, Zerator brings a lot of people to Trackmania. What do you think about it? And then I'm like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. The Zerator Cup brings temporary attention to Trackmania. But I would say 90% of the people who follow Zerator leave the game after the cup is over because they only watch for Zerator as a person, but don't give a shit about the game. And then there's that other 10% of people who actually stick to the game because they like it. But I wouldn't say that really brings Trackmania as a game forward. Of course it brings, you know, as I said, temporary attention. It shows that Trackmania is a game you can use to hold proper big tournaments, you know, with a big audience. We're speaking of like 30,000 people plus, so that's a lot, I would say. Especially for a racing game, since racing games are obviously, you know, not the top one esport genre out there. But yeah, it shows that Trackmania has the potential, but having that temporary boost in players does not really help the game or, core community members like me. It doesn't really help. So people coming up with that argument can just go out the door again. I mean, it's simply not valid, So that is also one reason why I just said some people are really narrow-minded, because they only see what Zerator is presenting them, but they don't really look out of the table, like out of their, tunnel vision.
Yeah.
They don't really have a look at what Trackmania really has to offer, what Trackmania really consists of, and to the people who actually keep the game alive. And yeah, that's also something, if of course it's inevitable, but it's also something which could be, better, maybe.
Talking about your experience at the 2016 Cup, for if there are anybody listening to this that are going to attend, is sort of your tip to them or feedback to them that they should rather cheer for their favorite than to disrespect the people that are not their favorites?
I mean, I'm generally not against fanboying, being for one specific person, which is the case for many people in the Zerator community. I'm not against that, because you cannot prevent that, obviously. But if you put up a tournament like this, which is big, which is professional, which is having like a super high production value. I've been there in 2016 and I know how it is behind the scenes. It is actually professional as fuck. And it was probably even more professional in 2017, and it will be even more professional this year in 2018. So it is a professional tournament, and I would say I expect people to show a certain amount of respect, a certain amount of professionality to everyone, and not just to the people who are either being boosted by Zerator or, just being French. It's kind of the wrong attitude, And that personally scares me away. I know that it scares away other people as well, even though there's also people who just play for the money, which is also obvious, of course, which I don't, as you can see. But yeah, it's something... I don't know Zerator as a person. I don't think he can change that on his own. I think it has to be something all of the people have to work on. I don't expect this to change, but it would be nice to see.
That's it for me, but this episode is far from over. For the first time, I actually allowed people to come up with some questions to help me out, and the question that you like the best will be awarded with an official Riolu merch t-shirt. Can you tell us, before we go into the questions, what sort of merches do you have available at your website where people can buy them?
Alright, so yeah, recently I started up my own merch shop, which is a cooperation with Streamlabs, which is a big service streamers use to display, let's say, alerts, when someone subscribes or something like that. Yep. So yeah, they gave me and also Spam the opportunity to sell merch. So right now it's still in beta, but I do sell t-shirts, mugs, pullovers, posters, and some other, fancy stuffs like bags or pillowcases. So everything is still, in the beta. We're still working out on different designs, stuff like that. But yeah, that's, basic stuff I sell, which is also something I find actually crazy, because I'm just a guy on the internet playing Trackmania, and now I'm here actually selling merch. So that is incredible, actually. I've never thought I would get to this point. So I'm really thankful for all of the people who actually bought merch already, because it's actually a lot of people who did that. So I'm really, really fucking happy about that. I'm still, stunned about that, still stoked about that. So yeah, really awesome. So yeah, I don't know. For the guy with the best question, I think you want to give away a shirt, if I recall correctly. Yes.
Yeah, we'll give the best, sort of your favorite question, a t-shirt. So maybe I can ask the guy in the future to help me with more questions, because it's not easy to do this alone.
Yeah, I can imagine. So yeah, t-shirts gonna be given away. I have several designs with t-shirts. So yeah, the winning guy can, I guess, just decide for one.
Yep.
Okay.
And I will not reveal who is the people behind the questions, but I know that for a fact that you have seen some of the questions already. But
yeah, I did. I was curious. I was curious.
Let's get into the first questions.
Sure.
It's kind of a serious one. What are your expectations or sort of goals for the rest of 2018 and the nearest future?
Well, I don't know if that refers to Trackmania only or to real life.
Let's go with both.
Let's go with both. Okay, with Trackmania. First of all, I really want to maintain my status as a, part-time streamer who's doing it every day. Because it's really fun for me, actually, and I see this as an opportunity to eventually also become bigger. To, broaden my horizon, maybe with other games as well. So I see this as an opportunity, and I really want to build up on this. Because people seem to enjoy it, people seem to support me, people seem to like it. So I was like, well, why not? Let's just go for it. So that is one of the big goals I want to do with Trackmania and with streaming in general. Then there's, of course, one thing which I did announce recently as well, and that is my starting up of my own tournament called Riolu's XD Race. I did host one edition 1 year ago, which was kind of a pilot project, which I did scrap in the end, but I want to refresh it with a brand new format. So that is also one goal for this year, which I want to pursue, and it's actually going to be a thing very soon with the first, restart of the Riolu's XD Race. So that is something I'm really looking forward to. I want to push that. I want to make it a big thing. Inside the Trackmania community. So that is also one of the big goals. And towards real life, I think the only big goal I have is to finish up my bachelor thesis. If I can manage that this year, that would be the biggest goal. Other than that, just try to stay alive, I guess.
That's always a safe goal.
Yep.
We already talked about some different kind of league format or tournament format in the Zerator Cup, the Planet Earth Cup, Gamers Assembly, and so on. But what sort of format would be ideal to you? Does it exist out there at the moment, or is there something that has to be created, like the perfect format for you as a player?
As you might guess, I am very much in favor of having multi-environment tournaments, or at least multi-style tournaments. So the perfect tournament right now does not exist, but I think it will happen, and I would really love to see that happen because, as I said, Trackmania really has a lot to offer, and the Zerator Cup is a really good example of how you can potentially promote the game. So if we find people, or if there's people in general who want to push the aspect of multi-environmental tournaments, maybe similar to how the United League has been held back in the days. Some people maybe remember that. The United League was a tournament held in Trackmania United Forever, obviously. But it had the focus on having all 7 environments involved. And that is something I would really like to see return in Trackmania too. So not to focus on just stadium or just canyon, just valley, but involve everything.
Yeah.
So that is something Trackmania has been missing out on in the past years, I would say, especially since Mania Planet 4 kinda ditched the possibility to have multi-environmental stuff. So that is something I would like to see back. I think it is possible with the right persons, with the right people to talk to. So that is something I think would be the perfect tournament for me. Of course, I didn't think of any specific format, but I think multi-environment would be really sick to see.
Another question is how you perform in matches, and the question is, Riolu usually shows a good performance when it matters in deciding rounds. Where does it get the confidence from to perform well, and how do you handle the pressure in those rounds?
That is a good question because, yeah, of course, that is something I have built up over years. Of course, being consistent is something you cannot learn immediately. So that is something I really had to learn over my career as a competitive player. And I would say one thing which really played into this ability of playing consistently is having that stupid 5-minute timer in Trackmania 2 solo mode back in the days. I don't know if you personally remember that, NMD.
Oh no.
But back in the days, you had that 5-minute timer on Nadeo maps where you only had one attempt each 5 minutes to set a time for the leaderboard.
Oh, yeah.
So that for me was not my first encounter in performing in, pressure-like situations. But it definitely helped me to actually know, hey, when can I risk? When can I, go safe? And that is something which is really important for competitive play, because you really need to judge your own skill, judge the situation you're in a specific round, and see, okay, do I have to risk? Do I have to go full ham or go full safe? So that is something I think the solo mode helped me, but just being very active in competitions is of course a very nice thing to have. And I think I'm a very calm guy in general. So also in real life, when I have stress situations like, I don't know, exams or stuff like that, I'm not really, nervous or stuff like that. I really try to focus my mind on one specific thing, which matters. In this case, it's playing a track good, fast, consistent. And I try to focus on that. So I, try to not think about any other things. I just try to focus on one special thing. So over the time, I developed that ability, and I think I still have that. I still prove that in various competitions. Let it be the occasional Smurfs Cup Valley, I don't know, any sort of knockout competition, or any, bigger competition like the Planet Dirt Cup. I think I can still do that, and I think that is one of my qualities as a competitive player. I may not be the fastest one. I used to be like the time attack guy back in the days, but it kind of switched over to being actually a consistent player. And I think that is good. So yeah, it's a steady process. And if you want to learn it yourself, then you really need to determine yourself to actually building up that, mindset for that. Really try to focus yourself on one thing, practice a lot, go through different possible worst case scenarios. Let's say you hit a turn badly. Then you need to know, how can I recover from that? How can I potentially save myself from dying the turn after that if I, fuck up one turn?
Yeah.
So you need to, practice in a way you also learn how to deal with fuck ups. Because there's people out there who play very risky. So they fuck up one turn, and then they're like, oh no, damn, I fucked up. So they either finish with a sick time, or they don't finish at all, or, last.
Yeah.
So I think it does work sometimes, but I think if you want to perform good in every tournament, then you need to build up that consistency aspect and not go for that risky approach. So yeah, you really need to work on your own, sort of way of practicing, and work on that, build up on that. And after that, it will pay off.
Sort of listening to other sports personalities, they talk about rather focusing on a match like every other match, even though it's a final. If you can remove or transform that into TrackMania, do you review every single match or every single round or map in the same way, or is it like, okay, now it's finalist mode, now I have to do something special, or is it like the first round of the match?
I gotta be honest here. In the beginning of any tournament, I'm like, okay, I want to perform for myself. I want to perform good, but I know if I maybe fail, it's okay. I can still move on. But the later I go into a tournament, I'm taking PDC as an example here. I knew in the beginning, if I fuck up, it's fine. I can still move on because I will be better than most of the others. But when I came, let's say, quarterfinal, semifinal, or even the final, then I knew, Riolu, you have to fucking focus now. No matter if it's finalist or any normal round, any point counts. So it was really important to keep up the focus in every round, keep the mindset, don't get distracted, and even if you fail, forget about it, recover, and refocus on the next round immediately. So I would say my mindset does switch during the tournament, but I always want to satisfy myself with my own performance. If I play shit but still win, I'm gonna be disappointed. So I want to win and play good for myself, That is something I really put my emphasis on, because as I said earlier in the interview, I'm a perfectionist. So if I play shit and still win, I'm like, nah, okay, well, I won, but I could have done better, Yeah. It's like, meh, I don't know. But when I know I perform nice and I win, then it feels, I deserved it, Yeah. That is the best feeling out there.
That is something that I think stands out for everybody who's the best at something, because even though they win, they're sort of, instead of looking what they did good, they're sort of looking at the stuff they could have done better
Yep.
or did bad.
Yep, exactly. I think that's also how you improve as a person or as a player in general. If you, I don't know, if you have a mindset along the lines of, yo, I made it to the top, I'm the best, I don't need to improve, then you will drop down faster than the Titanic, I can tell you right now. Because you always need to improve on yourself as well, because the others aren't going to stay on the same level, they will also improve, they also want to become the best. So if you start slacking, you will get the slap in the face. So you also need to learn from your own mistakes, even if you win. You will never do a perfect round, or never play a perfect match. So there's always something to improve on. You need to analyze that, you need to work on that, and then you will stay at the top, in the best case. That is something really important, and that's something that also applies to pretty much any other sport. So that's a pretty important mindset to have.
Yeah, and the next question is actually about you not slacking in the recent year in Trackmania, because even though you have played this game for a real long time, as you said in the intro, you improved your skills a lot from 2014 and became such a dominant player. What do you think is the reason for this sort of skill raise, even though you have played it for so many years?
I think what I just mentioned came into play a lot, because I knew I was good, but I always improved. I always wanted to be better. And starting from 2014 and 15, those were probably my most active years in competitive play, especially in Canyon, because I played like almost every Canyon competition in 2015, and not to brag, but I think I won almost all of them in that year. So 2015 was like probably one of my most successful years. So I really grew with that as well. I knew I was good, but by just playing a lot, by practicing a lot, I became even better, you know? That was something which is really good.
And as next question is, as for now, racing games only streamers mostly have a small exposure, as you talked about earlier. Why is that? Is that due to the games being boring or non-fun? Or is it because of the streamers are lacking personalities?
No, not at all. It's not about the streamer, and it's most likely not about the game either. It's just rather about racing games being some sort of niche game, especially in esport, you know? Like all of the modern popular esport titles, they're either FPS or, you know, nowadays these battle royale thingies like Fortnite. So those are like the popular esport titles. Sadly, racing games were never really popular, and I would say Trackmania was by far, looking at the past, by far the most successful racing game in esports ever. Starting even with Trackmania Nations ESWC in 2006, that game was already pushed in esport. We had a lot of tournaments ever since then. So I wouldn't say racing games do not have the potential to become big, but it has to be a racing game which really stands out. And that is why I'm personally really sad that Trackmania is not being pushed by Nadeo that much, because it has the potential to be a fucking huge esport game in my eyes.
Yep.
Trackmania is like so easy to understand. It's just about driving fast. You don't really have to understand a lot. You just watch the game, you watch people going fast through crazy racing tracks. That is for me really awesome to watch. And as I said earlier, the Zerator Cup is the perfect example that it can work. We just need people who want to push the game, who can push the game, and we need Nadeo. Nadeo right now have really been slacking. Oh, nice telephone.
No
Wait, let me mute that real quick.
Yeah.
Professional podcast, boys. Sorry. So, what did I say? I forgot.
Nadeo. Something about Nadeo.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just start there again.
Exactly. So, Nadeo has always been slacking on the esports aspect since years. Ever since they released Mania Planet, they were focusing on the content creation aspect, the aspect of actually having like one platform for all of the Trackmania 2 games, for HuntMania, for QuestMania, for whatever Mania in the future. And I think, even though it's a good idea, for the esports section, that is a big waste. As I said, Trackmania could have been promoted so much better, and I don't want to imagine where we would be at this point if Trackmania was actually a big thing in the esport right now. I don't want to imagine that, because I don't know, Trackmania is so easy to understand. It works. It is a simple game, but Mania Planet makes it very complex. It adds so many layers of actually unnecessary things to the actual game, which is really sad also. So yeah, I wouldn't say racing games don't have, you know, the certain thing, the certain bling bling to make it stand out in the esport. I don't think that's actually the case. It might be the case for casual games like Need for Speed or stuff like that. But since Trackmania is such a skill-focused game, it is predestined for esport. I don't know if that's actually a word, but it is like the number one. It is the formula for esport. Like, damn, it has to work. But so many factors are against it right now, and that personally makes me really sad. Of course, you cannot promote a racing game like Need for Speed, where it's all about, you know, customizing your car and, I don't know, microtransactions or bullshit like that. Of course, that is never going to be an esport. So, yeah, I don't know. Trackmania, if racing games would be an esport, it would be Trackmania.
And sort of the end of that question would be, or sort of the second part of the question, would you prefer the current state of your channel, or for example, a sort of pop-in level of exposure with the chat being similar to that channel?
You can see that from different perspectives, I guess. If you want to make a business out of streaming, if you really want to make your living out of the streaming life, then of course it would be nice if you had the exposure of Soda Poppin, Zerator, Lyric, whatever, like any of the big streamers, Ninja, you know. From a business standpoint, it would be nice to have bigger exposure. But I personally still want to have that aspect of having chat interaction, a calm chat. So right now, I think the way my stream is developing is perfect. Of course, it would always be nicer to have more, but there's a certain degree where it becomes too much. And at that point, I don't know if I would enjoy it. I can't really, you know, imagine that sort of situation. So right now, I think the current situation is perfect. For myself as a student who's still focusing on his studies, of course, and just doing streaming on, you know, on the side as a little part-time job. So right now, the current situation for me is perfect. As a businessman, improvable.
And talking about your streams, there are questions. Why do you actually not have a face cam on your stream like a Spam has or Zerator has or Carl?
The classic question. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm, you know, shy of having a face cam, but I don't know. People got used to not seeing my face on the stream. That is like one factor. So my stream was always just about voice, about gameplay. I focus about gameplay. I'll focus about talking to the people. Of course, a face cam would change the way I would stream, would change the way viewers would view my stream. I won't say a face cam will never happen, but right now I simply don't see myself doing that. It's just, I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable. I would have to get out of my comfort zone, which is, I know, a shitty excuse, but I don't know. Right now, it doesn't seem to be adding a lot of value to my stream. So yeah, as I said, maybe in the future. If you really want to see my face, watch the ESA run. It's not like I'm hiding myself behind my computer. I mean, right now you can see my face on the screen with that nice headset actually taken at ESA.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So yeah, I'm not shy or anything, but yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. A question is, would you buy a stadium-themed Lego box where you actually could build your own sort of tracks in Lego?
You can call me crazy, but I would buy everything related to Trackmania. I don't know. I would buy Trackmania condoms. I would buy Trackmania Lego box. I would build AO8 with Lego. I'm not shitting you. I would do that. I would do that.
Also do that, I guess.
Dude, I mean,
the full stadium.
Yeah, like I would do that. I'm pretty, you know, I'm a child in my brain still, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm still like 12, you know, so I would still buy that definitely.
I actually think that a lot of people will do it. So if the guy who come up with the question is not taking Pantone on it, I will probably do it fast and start selling some Lego boxes.
Make it happen, guys. Lego, if you hear this, make it happen.
Yeah. Let's move over to some, because when we talk about you as a person, there are always going to be some, what to say, questions that are not really related to Trackmania. But if you start with the first one, did you ever actually race in real life on a track, not only on Trackmania?
I did race some go-karts.
Yep.
Casually with friends, but I never drove in a race car. I would love to do that, to be honest, because I love racing. I follow racing a lot in my free time. So I do love racing. I do love cars. So if I ever get the opportunity to maybe race a car someday with an instructor or something, I would fucking do it. Definitely.
2 questions before we go. We already broke the record of the longest episode.
Way.
But 2 quick questions: cola or Pepsi?
I don't drink both like a lot, but I would go for cola.
Then we are good friends even after this episode.
Perfect.
And a question that is up in the air at the moment and pretty hot and sort of like become a meme. Is it Yanni or Laurel, if I'm pronouncing that correct?
It's definitely Laurel. Like, I don't fucking know how people can understand Yanni. Wash your ears. Like, what the fuck?
I think they're trolling with us.
Yeah.
Like, half the earth is like, okay, let's troll them.
Yeah, like, what the heck? No idea, man. It's definitely Laurel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And that's it for me and for the people who sent in the questions. If you look at the questions now, removing my questions, what is the questions you like the most and what sort of most surprised about? I want to give a t-shirt to.
There's several questions which I found very interesting.
Yep.
But I think the one which stood out the most is the question about racing games, about why they're not as popular and why, you know, may it be the fault of, you know, streamers' personalities. So I think that question is the winning question. I found that very interesting to think about.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say the name or not, but I can contact the guy on Facebook because he posted it on Facebook, so people who want to see that question can actually go there. So it's not like rigged or something.
Yep.
Is there some questions that me or the people who had the chance of asking you questions forgot and something you want to share with the people of Trackmania?
Let me see if there's actually a question which I would still like to answer.
That I forgot to bring with. Because there were like 25, 30 questions.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's more than all the comments on my YouTube.
I would have to think about that right now. I'm just browsing through the Facebook questions right now.
Yeah.
There's one question I would actually go into before we quit.
Sure.
There's one guy asking, do you believe that Trackmania series can be revived with their next game?
Yeah.
That is a question which I've been asked a lot during my streams as well, because I always have people asking, hey, Riolu, what do you think? How could you save Trackmania from dying?
Yeah.
Or how could you make Trackmania better? And a common way of thinking is that releasing a new game is always the way of getting out of the misery. So that is exactly what this question is going towards.
Yeah.
So my answer is definitely no. If Nadeo would waste another couple of years on developing a new Trackmania, during that time, the complete hype will be over, the franchise will be dead, people will simply not be interested. So if they were to release another game or another environment for Trackmania 2, I'm gonna tell you this is not gonna bode well for the game. It is very important for Nadeo right now to fix what they have released right now. Mania Planet has, I would say, severe issues with multiple things. Same for certain environments. Let's take Lagoon being a complete graveyard because the handling is not good. It's buggy, it's inconsistent. Let's take Canyon, which has been kinda ruined since Mania Planet 4. Or other examples regarding, you know, accessibility or general complexity of Mania Planet. So I think Nadeo really need to focus on that first. They need to focus on what they have released and not work on always like new things, because that is something I notice at Nadeo. They always do that. They always work on something, they release it, and they never work on it again. They only like release it half-assed, still being buggy as fuck, and just release new stuff on top of that. And that is the wrong approach. So adding another new Trackmania game would be the same problem again. So they should, work on fixing what's broken right now. And then you can also start promoting the game, making it big in esports. And then maybe we're gonna see a healthy, big Trackmania game in the future. But right now, the current way of developing is definitely, in my eyes, the wrong way.
So like building a house, like you didn't build a house properly the first way, so the solution is to build the next house not properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Either.
Like the fundamental thing is broken. You cannot build a house on sand. It's gonna crumble at some point, It's not gonna work. So that is the main problem.
Is there any questions that you browse through the comment section now? That's the last question you want to bring up.
There's one question which I found quite funny.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think Trackmania Zoo could be a thing with animals running around on the tracks like moving poles?
I just see so many people driving towards the animal just to hit them instead of
exactly. I would be one of these guys probably like, oh shit, I gotta hit that one. But I think then it would be an 18+ game.
Yeah.
And then we would have even less players than now. So maybe not the best idea.
But do you think actually moving parts could be a part of the future? Because I think it's in one game or one environment you can have a train or something.
Yeah, there's value with moving trains. It's actually pretty interesting, even though they're still pretty buggy. But it's a nice idea. So it shows that there's, the possibility of having moving objects with hitboxes. But I don't know if that would actually be a good idea for competitive environments.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it could be fun for like fun stuff, for, I don't know, some casual game modes, maybe for like some sort of hide and seek sort of tournament maybe, or game mode. But for an esport environment, probably not the best idea.
Any more questions?
I think that's it actually. I mean, we're exceeding the time limit by quite a lot. I think all of the people fell asleep now anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think
the
I'm
question I had
personally
on Twitter was like, how long do you want the episode to be? And it was 0 to 30 minutes, and now it's like 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Oops.
But do you have any final words for the people of Trackmania? Some news to you, or where do people find you? What you gonna do in the upcoming days? Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Well, yeah, first of all, shout outs to all of the people who supported me so well over the past months, years. Especially on my stream. Shoutouts to every single one of the guys who keep watching me every single day. That really means a lot to me. So love you guys. As of what's gonna happen in the future, as I said, there's gonna be Riolu's XD race, which is gonna launch hopefully by the end of this month or by the beginning of June. So it's gonna be a multi-environmental tournament. So I also want to give some special emphasis on the people who maybe only play Stadium. Play the demos of Canyon, play the demos of Valley, maybe even Lagoon. Try the other environments. Trackmania is a lot of fun outside of Stadium as well. So yeah, definitely make sure to check that out. Other than that, just, I don't know, big thank you for having me. That's a really cool thing. Been a while since I actually had an interview like that. It's actually the first vocal interview, the first spoken interview I'm doing. So it's also a new experience for me. But yeah, really enjoyable. Thank you very much, NMD. And yeah, if you want to follow me, it's Riolu TM on Twitch. Some shameless advertising here.
Yeah, of course, man.
I do have Facebook, even though I only post memes there. And the YouTube channel, where I post some like clips and world record runs. So if you want to check that out, make sure to do so. And of course, I have Discord if you want to get in touch with me. Yep. I'm very active there, so if you have any question outside the podcasts, which I maybe didn't cover that well, if you have anything which you didn't like, then hit me up on Discord, and I will make sure to answer on that.
All the links will be below this episode, so it's pretty easy to find, so you don't have to Google Riolu Twitch or something.
Cool stuff, cool stuff.
That's it for today, guys. It's been the longest episode so far, and I I will be surprised if we beat it with another guest. Maybe it has to be Frostbule or something.
I would be looking very forward to a podcast like that.
Yeah.
If you can get Frostbule onto the microphone, holy shit. I would listen to that.
I'm working on it.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's it. You have the final word. I will let you have the honor. Say goodbye to the people.
Yeah, thanks for listening if you didn't fall asleep by now.
You're a hero.
Yeah, you're a hero. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you kinda enjoyed the podcast. It's been longer than I expected.
Yep.
But hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, have a good one. Take care. Maybe see you on the tracks, on the live stream, or anywhere else. Thank you very much. Dankeschön.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.